YouTube, my name's Lance and welcome to Bundy Bears Shed. Well, first up the weather report. It's autumn in Australia, in Bundaberg, Queensland, and the coldest temperature is 17 degrees overnight, and the daytime temperature gets to 27, so look, it's just a nice time. It's a nice time of the year. You feel like getting out doing something. You can get out in the yard or get out in the paddock and do some work, or play around in the shed like I often do. But yeah, look, great time of the year. We're in a different spot today a little bit, pardon me, and we're over near my John Deere, the John Deere 420 I did up recently. And I've got all the final drive apart, and I'll try and pan out a little bit. And there was a little bit, but I've got the final drive apart here, and there was a bit of a story that went with the tractor when we did it up. And I have it's had a Dicky bull gear in the back, and with the bull gear I chose to use it at the time, and that's the bull gear there, and you'll see that it's had a fail down here at some time in its life. It's had the tooth repaired, and there's these like rivets that hold the ring gear from turning, and at some stage it's knocked the tooth off. It's obviously broken this ring gear, and they've welded it back on and they've fixed the tooth, and by all accounts it worked okay. Oh, that's getting heavy. Pardon me, I'll just get that stinky oil off my hand. And when we did the tractor, I did the bearings in the final drives here, and I noticed the gear was crook, and I had a quick look around for one, and I couldn't find a gear anywhere. So I decided that that gear had done a good life. You know, it had been repaired, it was still working. In first, second and third gear you couldn't hear it, but I did this tractor up to get it out on the road a little bit, and when you got down the road in top gear you could just hear this little knock, knock as the wheel turned, so you knew it was on the gear, as that gear is on the same axle as the wheel, so at the same spot when the wheel turned each time you got this little knock, but in the low gears you couldn't feel it. So being hard to find a final drive or a final drive gear for a John Deere 420 high crop, I decided that had worked, we would let it run. And the reason that they're hard to find parts for is worldwide they only made 610 of these tractors, and the saving grace with that was that before this they did the 40, and before that they did the M. So there was a John Deere M high crop, a 40 high crop, and a 420 high crop, and the 430 afterwards, but I don't know if the 430 gear fitted. So look, in Australia we think, well, these ones of this particular tractor, there was 49 of them made in 1957, and the only difference is that being petrol kero, or start on petrol, then they swing them across to power kerosene, and they did that as that was the cheap fuel. And so of the 49 tractors that they made all fuel that come to Australia, this is one of them. And so look, I had a quick look about finding a gear, and I couldn't find one anywhere. Anyway, a fella up north of us, Mackay, a fella Mick, he ended up buying a 40 with a smashed final drive housing. And so he rang me up and said, oh, you know, did I know where he could find a final drive housing for his tractor? And I said, look Mick, I don't, but if you find one, how about we work together? I said, you can have the housing if I can have the gear. So anyway, Mick had more contacts than I did, so after a few months of looking around, he rang me up and said, oh look mate, he said, I've found a final drive. He says, the trouble is, the old bloke that's got them, he's got two of them. and that's all he's got left of the tractor, because we're thinking, oh beauty, yeah, we'll be able to get a few more goodies, but that must be all he has left of the tractor. So anyway, Mick says that there is a problem with it though. He's got 2 of these final drives and he doesn't want to separate them. He won't just sell us one. We have to buy the pair, and he wants $1,200 for the pair for the 2 final drives. So I was, oh well, you know, I'll be in that. As to buy that gear from John Deere, you can't buy it, and if you could buy it, it'd be thousands. And so anyway, Mick did the sale, and he a bit of a funny story with it too. Then he rang me up and said, "Oh, Lance," he says, "this bloke," he says, "would you mind putting the money into his bank account for the part?" And I said, "Why is that?" And he says, "I got me missus up me for spending too much on me tractors." He said, if I've only got to pay half, it doesn't look so bad at my end." And I said, "Yeah, all right, that's no worry." So I got on to Judy, me missus, and he chucked some money in this bank account. And then they were quite a few hours away from us, so we had to work out how to get them up to Bundaberg. And anyway, so I have an account with one of the larger freight companies, so we chucked them on there, and Mick paid half, and cost us $200 and something freight to get them home. And anyway, I got them home here and got them to the shop, and I had a look at them, and they were seized solid. And the old bloke that Mick had been dealing with didn't say anything about them being seized solid. He just said he had 2 good final drives. And so I rang Mick up and said, "Look, they're bloody stuck, you know, seized." And he said, "Oh shit." So he says, "Look, if you pull them apart and get what you want to try and get this job finished." And he said, "I only need a housing, so if that's all that's left for him, he'll work with that." So anyway, yesterday morning I got into them, and I got them both freed up finally, and the fella had sat them up with the trumpet housing up where the brake shaft is at the top, and the water was just running down. And lucky there was a bottom seal, and the bottom seal on the final drive, the left-hand one going north to Mick, it had leaked through a little bit. There was a little bit of watery oil in the final drive, but I've since drained that, and I've smashed the brake discs off to free that up. So I've got them both turning, and in one final drive there was a good gear, so the gear I wanted. And the top gear here, which is a little pinion shaft, I'll see if I can. This top gear here, I thought, well, I'll try and get a good one of those too. And on the top pinion gear, that's a big long shaft that goes all the way into the diff, and it goes from here through a seal, through your brake discs, and then into your diff. So I thought, well, I'll have a look and see if I can find one of these gears too, in case with the crook gear running on it, yeah, it had marked up or something. But yesterday when I stripped this down to do the job, this gear has been a brand new one they found back when they did the repair sometime. So that's great. I've done the bearing. Actually, I didn't do that bearing. That was a good bearing when I bought the tractor. So I replaced bearings and seals here, and I've actually got the new gear sitting in there. So anyway, out of the deal, I've got a really good second-hand gear for the final drive on the John Deere 420. This bearing's good, no need to replace it. So yesterday I freed up all the final drives. I have to get one of them up north now to Mick, and there's a tractor show coming up shortly up north of us there. So hopefully we have a friend or someone we know that shows tractors that can get the final drive, Mick's final drive, back up to him. So yeah, it's been had a busy week. I'm sitting down here on my milk crate where I work on my John Deere. Nothing better than a milk crate to sit on. And yes, I've had it all apart. I'm on the way back home. I've got the new gear sitting in, and the axle has a taper. It's a spline taper, and so does the gear, and they lock in, and then you bring bolts in from the other end, and the bolts actually hold that tight on there. So I'm a bit excited to have the gear. When I first bought the tractor to do up, there's things we call tractor treks in Australia, and that's you get your tractor registered, and a few of you get together and you go for a tractor drive somewhere. And you know, they have them organised often a week before a big show. They'll start few hundred kilometres out from where the big show is, and whoever wants to go along, they jump on their tractor and they go for a drive, and they drive the last couple of 100 k's on their tractors, and they stop at the tourist attractions and just get in the road probably, but that's all right. And that's why I bought the tractor. A few of us, apart from being a nice tractor, but my goal with the tractor, getting registered, was I could do some tractor treks. It was registered so I could run into town. Like, we're only, from Sugarland, from one end of town we're 7 kilometres, the other end we'd be about 10 kilometres, so 6 miles from the centre of town. And I got it all registered and insured and everything, so if us and our club wanted to do a street parade, a Christmas parade, a spring flower parade or whatever, I can run the tractor in, I can be part of the parade, sit up there with a big grin waving to everyone, and then if there's a tractor trek or a club run or something like that, we can do that too. So when I got it going, I first took it for a lap down the road, and there was this little knock, 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 knock. I was a bit disappointed because when I took the videos for the YouTube channel and all, I drove around here, I had no clue that it was doing that. In first and second and third gear, round the paddock here, not a noise, beautiful. And the bottom of this pole here is where the flashing light is, and I have to have a flashing light by law to be out on the road, and that's the only restriction I have. I have to have a mirror, a horn and a flashing light, and I'm right to go. So this pole here, and I might be able to turn you around a bit, that pole there, well, that was right near my ear, and that must have been making the noise louder. The bloody thing, geez, it got loud some days, and I took it for a drive around one of the estates here, and there's a few country estates here with people with 2, 3, 4 acre blocks of land with homes on it, and I took it for a lap round there, and yeah, it wasn't good. The noise would go away. There must have been a little bit of movement there, and I could make it go away, then it'd come back again. And so anyway, with this pole right next to my ear, I'm sure it was far louder to my mind than the problem really was. So that's what we've been doing this weekend. As for purchases, I'll just sneak over here. And the only thing I've purchased this week is some music wire, and I've got a couple of different sizes of music wire here, and that's a bit of a selection of music wire and a little bit of brass and things like that. And look, building this motor, the Fairbanks Morse Z motor, little third scale Fairbanks I'm doing, I have to actually wind my own valve springs and things like that, so that's why we bought the music wire. In the plan, it gives us a little dolly to make to wind the springs up, and so yeah, I've got that part of it bought now, so it shouldn't be long and I'll be doing that, but probably not this weekend. We'll see how we go. I'd like to get the tractor finished. I only stripped it down yesterday, and I'd like to get it back together today. And a quick job's a good job when you've got tractors apart. But for making the springs, I made the springs on the little hay baler I made, and so it's no big deal making them. It's just doing it. But look, I'll just take you for a little bit of a few close ups on what we're doing here, and we'll go from there. Well, that's a little hay baler I made, and yeah, these are down here, these are the springs we made earlier here, and as it pushes the hay through, it locks that out, and that stops the boards from coming back, so it shouldn't be any worry. They're nice little springs we made, so yeah, I should be able to copy that, I'm hoping. And this is the gear. That's the new gear, and look, it's in good order. The teeth on it, I'm not sure if I can show you the teeth, but the teeth still have the marks on them from machining, so there's no wear. We are going to have to touch the paint up once more, and where we've had to pull the sump off and and the seal surfaces and all that sort of thing. But the bearings I put in last time are good. They've only done 27.5 bloody turns, I think. Haven't done long. But so this morning I've got to clean the parts up a little bit and get her all back going. So there's probably not a lot to film with that. You don't really need to see me washing parts up. And that's the pinion gear. So I'll hop into it and get her back together.